My name is Piers and Jeremy, CEO of RDX Works, core developer of the decentralized finance protocol Radix. Today, we are having a fireside chat with the Chief Marketing Officer of RDX Works, Jeremy, aka Beast Mode CMO. It is great to have the opportunity to have a little chat again. This is supposed to be a less formal environment for us to chat about what's happening in the Radix marketing scene, in the RDX marketing scene, what various things are going on, what's happening in the community. So we're going to do that. What is the number one thing you want to talk about today, Jeremy?
I was thinking we should call this call the no green screen, no lawyers call. We could just do that.
I'm not allowed on the no lawyers call. I thought you already knew that. I'm the one that everyone is like, Piers is lawyers and lawyers is Piers.
I know. The lawyers has become like it's become like this great joke for us in various themes. Like, it was like lawyers is like, I feel bad for the lawyers because they're just always, well, they're used to being the butt of all jokes.
Yeah.
What I want to talk about today, or what I want to talk with you about today, because I don't want to just talk, is I think the key word is like acceleration. I think we're starting to accelerate the marketing engine. I've been in role for about 2.5 months, which is like a year in crypto time. But and we spent first quarter just doing sort of the not so sexy stuff. And there's plenty of not sexy stuff remaining to be done. But we're starting to accelerate a little bit, get the marketing going a little bit. And I think we can go through some of the things to kind of support that thesis statement, and hopefully the community agrees.
So you wrote like a big old blog post for Radix on this, right? Marketing Wen-sday Shard 2 on the
Shard
blog.
2.
Which
it's going to take a while to get to 256 marketing shards.
That's
I'm focused.
I mean, if that's your ambition, then you need to be pumping out
go
more
big
than
or go
1 week
home,
or
baby.
1 week.
It's one a month.
One a month.
I'm going to live to 80 bajillion years old at this rate. Yeah.
So that was really well received. Like, a lot of people have been like, yeah, this is great. This transparency is awesome. It helps us understand what we're all gunning for. But like for the people who haven't actually read it, what's the TLDR, too long didn't read version of the Wen-sday Shard 2?
Go read it. Yeah, I mean, you don't have anything else to do with your time than read everything that Radix puts out? I mean, if you care about Radix and the success of, decentralizing a $400 trillion global financial economy in order to make the world safer for all of us and our children, you could invest like 6 minutes in reading the marketing chart. But hey, if you have other things that are more important, you should please go do that. The TLDR is, we got a crap ton of activity we're doing both in this quarter, and there's just an absolute ton of opportunities for members of the community to jump in the boat and start rowing with us. We got plenty of seats, plenty of paddles, plenty of oars, and I think now we know where our direction is. So jump in, help us out, but we can go through some of the things that we've got planned, and maybe there are opportunities to participate. Right.
And this goes all the way out, right? So goes from Radix is rising, first milestone set September of this year. Then Radix is rolling December of this year. Radix is running March of next year. Radix is rewarding June of next year. Radix Revelation March of 2024, and Radix Revolution December of 2027. So this is not a short-term thing. This is all about I love the idea of like 1% better every day. This is something you talk about, which is, I think, is a great thing. Is like, are we a little bit closer to where we're going? But do we have an idea of what the goal is? And then how do we make sure that we're testing ourselves against whether or not we are 1% better every day? And that's really evident in how you're building the team as well, which is amazing to see. It's great to see like a huge number of those people blossoming as well. And
that's been the best part, really. Yeah. The best part is just seeing the team, everyone jumping in, really like owning the stuff. I mean, we have to hit those milestones because literally I ran out of R's that go with Radix. So we just if we don't make it, like, I don't know what I'm going to do. Like, I can't use another letter, but yeah, no, this is right. I mean, marketing, we're taking the exact same approach to building the marketing engine and the marketing as a product, if you will, as the way the product team is, and that's what makes Radix so special, is we're the only project in the space that started with the end in mind of, if we get $400 trillion, what do you need to do today, and work backwards. And we're saying, okay, that Radix revolution 5 years out, we might be like a month or two off, just so people don't get too upset. What do we need to be there? And then let's work our way backwards all the way to, what do we need to do this afternoon?
Right.
And that's the attitude we're trying to instill in the team. And the team's really responding amazingly well to that. Right. So I'm super excited about that.
It's like if you want to do anything ambitious, like you have to have the idea of what the discipline you can create today is to get you to that future goal, because otherwise it just seems completely unobtainable. Like, I'm not just going to tomorrow go and run a sub 2 hour marathon or climb Everest. Like, I have to first instill the discipline that allows me to get to the point that I could actually feasibly achieve that. So when you say, how do we get to $400 trillion? It's like, not right. Suddenly. Like it's like, how do you get to the first dollar? How do you get to the first $1 million? How do you get to the first 10 million, 100 million? And like, what does each phase of that ecosystem look like? What does each phase of that community look like? And what is the discipline that we can create today that continues to build benefits along that road? And one of them, how's this for a segment, is meetups.
That's a good one. No, the meetups have been amazing. So Jacob, as many of you know, is driving our what we call our Radix Revelation Meetup in a Box, or meetups combined with our Meetup in a Box capability, which is designed for anyone literally around the world who wants to host a Radix meetup to say, okay, I want to do this. What do I need to do? So we've prepared like a 9-page, beautifully designed, simple, organized with all kinds of links PDF, so that it's sort of like, here's the recipe. And you can, obviously it's open source, you can modify it as you see fit, but you'll have that. And then we're building a deck that, if you want, you can use the whole thing, you can use part of it, you can use none of it, we don't care. And we're scheduling them. I mean, we had our first one the other day in my hometown of Washington, D.C. A Radvocate named Max put it on, and he was amazing. We had about 18 people there, all walks of life, ranging from students at Georgetown University to seasoned professionals, people who are deep into crypto, not so deep, people who had heard of Radix, people who were just coming to kind of check it out. But the energy, man, it was just amazing. And it was so invigorating to be there, to feel that, to get people excited about it. I'm going to be in the one in New York on May 1st that Eli is putting together. So I'm looking to hit the mean streets of Brooklyn. That should be fun. I know we have London coming up. We got Hanoi coming up. I'm actually hosting one in Helsinki. When I'm there in May, we're going to be doing that in a sauna. So
of course, where else? Where do they have? They don't have rooms in Helsinki. They just have saunas.
No. I was like, we're doing it. The Finns are going for the saunas, so I was like, we're doing our Radix Revelation meetup in a sauna. And my guy there was like, yeah, sure, okay. He's got like 15, 20 people coming to that. So and then I'll be in Israel. Actually, also we're going to be doing one in Tel Aviv. So we're really picking up a lot of momentum on the meetups, and Jacob's got an ambitious goal. So if you're interested, I know there's one in Lexington, Kentucky coming up. There are a whole bunch of other ones. If you're interested, we're going to make this as plug and play as possible for you, give you some air cover, help you out. And this is how we do it. This is how we do it, is you just throw those out there and we build the energy that way. So it's awesome. I'm super excited about it.
So like, and this really is a call out as well, as like, if you're sitting here going, I would love to host a meetup in my hometown or in my home city. We're just trying to make that as easy as possible. So we're putting together, as Jeremy says, this simple manual for doing a meetup. Like, it's not, there's nothing in it that's like massively challenging. And then we're also putting together these materials to help you be like, well, what would I talk about in the first meetup? Like, here's a bunch of stuff that you can pick all of it or some of it or none of it. Like, we're trying to make it easy for anyone, and like it matters. Like every single one that happens.
Totally. It matters more than most things that we could do, because nothing's more valuable than word of mouth, than people just hearing from people they trust. And we're going to give you a deck, and it can range from part one's going to be, why is DeFi important? So if you're talking to people who are still trying to get their head around that, we'll help that. If you're talking to people who understand DeFi and are like, all right, why does Radix matter? Why can't I just do everything on Ethereum? Like, okay, we got that. Like, then there's the next group of like, all right, I got Radix. What makes Radix special? How does it work? And then we'll walk through the technical stuff. So you'll have sort of this opportunity to pick the pieces that fit for your audience. And I want to emphasize, this should not be pressure. I mean, we were in a bar during happy hour in DC, super chill. We had drinks, there were food, we're just chatting. We didn't even have a presentation. There was a one-page handout. We were just talking. Everyone was super cool. So like, it doesn't need to be a big ordeal or a big fiasco. It's not planning a wedding here. It's just like, hey, let's get a bunch of people, find a place. My one advice is a place with not loud music. But I'm an old man, so there's only so much I can take. So maybe that's the issue. But yeah, like that, if you only have one or two other people there, that is a success. That's how this thing works, because that one person tells one person, and so on and so forth. And we know how special and unique and radically different Radix is, that the more people hear about it, the more that, more revelations there are, and we will get there.
It is genuinely one of the most impactful things you can do for any crypto community, full stop. Like if you look at every single founder in the crypto space today, meetups featured heavily in their decision to quit their job and become like full-time. If you look at like my story involves the Ethereum community early days. It was I went to the first Ethereum meetup in London. It was 12 people. 12 people, and it was in a shit bar, like pub, above, it was above a room above a pub, and you could hear the pub downstairs, and like it had a sticky floor, and like it was awesome. Like, so like from like very humble beginnings, all of these things come. And like, if you look at all of, any of the, like Kane from Synthetics, Stanny from Aave, Hayden from Uniswap, none of these guys did it in isolation. They didn't like sit in their room and go, I'm just going to do this. They all like got involved in the community, and all of them physical events mattered, and all of them community events mattered. So like, if you're like, I'm not going to create the next big DeFi application, that's fine. But if you create a meetup, you could be the person who inspires the next big DeFi application to come and build on Radix. So like, go do that.
And the beauty of the world that we live in is it does this revolution, this financial Web3 revolution, whatever you want to call it, is not contained to Silicon Valley and London and Berlin or whatever. It's literally anywhere. I mean, you can set up a meetup in like Kansas City, Missouri, or like pick some random town in England, or some remote place in Switzerland, or Hanoi, Vietnam, and you can just meet some people, and they're all interconnected. Everyone's sharing the words. All it takes is that one person who finds that one meme, tells that one story, boom. And that's how you do it. It's like, I hate to use the analogy, let 1,000 flowers bloom, but I used to call it dandelion marketing. The dandelion spreads all these things. Most of them don't make it, but a few do. And that's how it works in a hyper-connected, socially empowered, word-of-mouth driven world.
Right. So like what?
So sign up for a meetup.
Sign up for a meetup or organize a meetup, please.
Exactly. Organize even better.
So we've also got some like bigger events coming up, right? We've got Consensus coming up in June. It's going to be in Austin, Texas, rather than New York. Radix is going to be sort of turning out in force there. We're going to be having a decent sized stand. We're also going to be doing something a little bit special as well, which Jeremy has organized for us.
Well, it's a team effort. We are a top tier sponsor of the Coin Center Dinner, which is a gathering
fancy
of really like, it is fancy schmancy. It's a gathering of like the crypto ratty, for lack of a term. It's just the who's who of crypto shows up, because Coin Center is a really important player on the global scene, but certainly on the US scene in terms of educating Congress about what crypto is all about. They, have a ton of allies and supporters. So if you go to the Coin Center dinner homepage and you look at the top tier sponsors, you will see the Radix logo there. And I think you'll be pretty pleased with the company, or I should say the other projects there will be pretty pleased that they're hanging out with Radix. That's what I really meant to say. Exactly. I still have the CMO hat on, right? And, and this is all part of it. I mean, the ROI on that logo, I have no idea, but these are the kinds of things that we have to do, right, and we're proud to do. A, it's a worthwhile cause. B, just building that awareness slowly. I mean, these things don't happen overnight, just like the product, just like the marketing, right, but getting there. And consensus. So the point here is it's first day. It's, I guess for us, it's April 1st, which is April Fool's, but this is no joke. This is actually happening. We're looking at least a quarter out. We're looking multiple quarters out, but we're already thinking about the end of the quarter. And we've got multiple events through the quarter, including, I might add, our first developer event, right, coming up a week from tomorrow, April 9th in Lisbon, which is beyond sold out. There's like a wait list right now. And Piers, you're going to be there.
I'm going to be there.
So people will feel your energy. It's going to be awesome.
Matt's going to be there. It's going to be a really great, it's a developer focused day. If you're interested in like going into a bit more detail about, how Scripto works and getting some tutorials and some like workshops and stuff like that, it's going to be awesome. So like, please do sign up. There is a wait list, but please do sign up. We're going to be, it's going to be awesome. So I'm really looking forward to that.
And one thing I'd say just on that is like, this, like you said, it's our first event. So, don't tell anyone on the team, but we're kind of expecting there'll probably be a couple bumps along the road. And we're okay with that. That's how we learn. That's how we get better. It's not going to be a total disaster unless Piers like shaves his head and is unrecognizable, which unlike anything's possible. But it's going to be fine. It's going to be great. But I know we're going to have a lot of learnings from that, and that's okay. Right. We're really looking at this quarter as, I called it in shard number 2, start your marketing engines. There are going to be some imperfections. We're going to have learnings, and I don't mind because we have a long time frame. It's how do we get, to your point, 1% better every day, which actually now, if I might further segue, the reason it's called Start Your Marketing Engine, because our big theme for this quarter is the Radix Engine. The Radix Engine being the world's first DeFi engine is an incredible innovation that, as you like to say, Piers, will be obvious in hindsight. And I think that's something we are we're starting to explore. What are the best ways to help the market, both people in DeFi and people outside of DeFi, understand just how radically powerful the DeFi engine is and what it's going to mean for the future of DeFi. So that's where the engine becomes. You're going to see a lot of content, a lot of talking points around the DeFi engine and why that matters, because no one else has one.
Right. And like, as you say, like, I do love this concept of obvious in hindsight. I find, that you have these two concepts of exploration versus optimization. So like, if you know what the terrain is, now you're just like improving on what the terrain is. But how you need to explore beyond that to be able to work out whether or not where you actually were building was the right place to build in the first place. I always think about this like the game of Civilization. when you used to like nice you wander around and it would be black, and then you'd start to see what the terrain is. And one of the most repeating memes or like heuristics in human innovation always seems to be taking ideas from one area and applying it to a different area, and then that other area moves forwards, and then maybe it inspires a different area again. And so like the games industry has solved this problem for themselves. I mean, so much so that the games in one of the big holdouts on not using a game engine was the guys behind I can't remember what the studio is. It's Project Red, right? So they recently did Cyberpunk 2077, and that was a huge disaster for them because the optimization on the different games consoles really didn't work, and they ended up having like really bad gameplay and really bad reviews, and people got really angry about it. They've just said, "Oh, we're going to now move to, I think it's Unreal, as the basis of their system," because there's just taking that burden off the games maker and just giving them all of these tools that make it easy for them to do the thing that they're great at, which is creating great games, is just a heuristic that's so successful. And so, we've just taken that and we've gone, look.
And I would say, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, just
it's always good to cut off the CEO people. That's what I do.
The concept of like the engine being the basis for so much of like pushing forwards, like everything from the Steam engine forwards, but like now the finance engine, like making at the center of DeFi, going, there's all of this complexity that all developers are having to deal with. Let's take that away and like give them a way in which they don't have to think about that level of abstraction anymore. And it's so, and this is where the obvious in hindsight thing comes. It's like, well, as soon as you play with it, and we're seeing this in our developer community every day at the moment, as soon as you play with it, you're like, of course this is how you do it. Of course this is how you build. I've never seen a product with this much consistent good feedback at this early stage, like still in alpha, like, right? Still, I still haven't completed the versions of it. So
no, it's been remarkable. I mean, one of the, you and I are both students of history and appreciate sort of the history of technology innovation. And one of the things that when I finally, and I would say if you haven't watched Piers' presentation from the Alexandria preview event back in December, I'd recommend going to you can watch it at 1.5 speed. You won't lose anything. And it's except for like his subtle nuance,
subtle
like
pauses
movements,
to let
exactly,
people, to let it sink in
the dramatic
properly.
pause, exactly. It's like, well, it's like you don't want to like accelerate Beethoven's ninth.
Exactly,
you don't want to accelerate. Yeah, sorry, my bad. You're right. You totally should watch. You should slow it down, in fact, just to kind of get the full effect. But if you do watch it, he does an amazing job of explaining the impact that the game engine had on gaming, and then was able to extend or telescope that into what we believe the DeFi engine will do for DeFi. So once I sort of got my head around that, as a student of history, I was like, well, this has probably happened multiple times before. And I spent like a whole weekend where all I did was research different engines. This is what happens when you're a middle-aged man with 3 kids. This is what you do. You spend the whole weekend looking at engines, so steam engine, combustion engine, and so on and so forth. And so, when you think about, and actually, as Matt pointed out to me, that the first computer was actually called the difference engine that Charles Babbage invented. Yeah, exactly. So you have these things. So it's about what engines do, and you start thinking, and they're omnipresent, but you don't really think about them because they're obvious in hindsight, and now they're just a part of the OS, if you will, of our daily lives. So next week, hopefully, knock on wood kind of thing, you'll see the blog post that really is looking like what we want it to be as sort of the cornerstone content for our Q2 theme. So we have a post that's coming out explaining the engines, how DeFi engine comes in and what have you. So I think as you go out and articulate to people and they say, well, what makes Radix different? I think you can really say, we've invented this DeFi engine. And when you think about how important the inventors of engines are over the history of the world and what it's meant for unleashing innovation and economic growth, kind of a big deal.
It's really exciting. And like one of those things like that I've really been thankful for Jeremy for is, we do so many things in Radix that are really cool, and we just move very quickly onto the next one. And what like we've really had to start doing is being a bit more thoughtful about which of these things that we do need to be highlighted at what point. And like the Radix engine is genuine. Like I can remember, like we've been talking about, it went from a really abstract concept of like constraints and like like the concept of constraints in systems and how the constraints in systems can be very powerful if used in the right way. And then how that ended up coming from that like abstract idea of creating systems of useful systems of constraints to creating this Radix engine. And so like all of that excitement I had maybe 3-4 years ago when we were first talking about these concepts, like just making sure that is all now properly communicated. Now it's in this package that is actually really, I think, really exciting.
Yeah, I agree. I think it should be good. And I think people will hopefully respond well to, we've put together some compelling visual assets as well that sort of explain how engines work. So I think we this is our first time doing it. I think I know we can do a lot more different methods and explore different avenues. But I like where we are right now. And I think hopefully these visual aids will serve as assets for you, either socially or in person, to help people understand, everyone else in DeFi is going this way. We're going that way, and we think this way is going to be better. Why? Because every time people go this way over history, this way is better.
Right. And I suppose like final thought, like we're not, it's not just events and meetups. We're still doing like the advertising, like on platforms. Yep. We've got a big advertising campaign coming up. You want to talk a little bit more about that?
Huge advertising campaign coming up May 10th. We are doing what's called a sponsored image takeover of the Brave browser homepage. As you know, for all of you who did read Shard 2, which is, of course, everybody, it's probably framed on your wall by now.
Yeah, tattooed down your arm.
Maybe I should sell it as an NFT. I could probably do that. And I'm sure the only problem is it would be so humiliating when it's like no one wants it, but that's okay. No, one of my OKRs is, or one of the top level marketing OKRs is, we need to triple, or we are aiming to triple the monthly number of visitors that we get to our website. Now that's not simple, and it scares the crap out of me to put it on a blog post where people are like, Jeremy, you suck. You only doubled it. I'm like, sorry, man. Or maybe not. Who knows what's going to happen? But in order to push that, we have this campaign, which we believe could send like potentially millions, or at least 1 million or so visitors to our site. We're A/B testing our landing pages now. We're looking to drive email signups. So we've got a lot going on. We've got our crack design team working on some pretty cool stuff for there. So May 10th, make sure you spread the word. We're going to do a little bit of pre May 10th excitement to kind of get the word out there. But yeah, it's a big moment. It's not cheap, but it's not. What am I going to say? If it were cheap, like everyone would do it. But sometimes you just gotta. Most of marketing is like this drumbeat stuff. You just need to do it, and every now and then you just throw that big right hand Lawrence Okolie punch, and you go for the knockout. I'm not saying we're going for the knockout, but we're throwing a big punch. We're taking it very seriously, and hopefully it works for us. And if not, we'll learn. And whatever it works, we're going to learn, and I think we'll have some success, and then we'll just go from
there.
And
even if it doesn't create maintained traffic on that one run, like there is also like we've done a bunch of optimizations of messaging, of flow on our website, and being able to throw a concentrated mass of traffic through it also helps us get a load of data about what the best way of like whether or not what we're doing is working, whether experiments should be like continued to be pushed forwards, and so that's super helpful as well.
Yeah, it's actually you talked about discipline. Like I think that goes into two other things that I'm sort of proud about under the hood, which is the discipline that we have around our A/B testing. Like we're taking a very methodical approach to figure out which of the landing page options that we could do are going to generate the results. And then even one step beyond that, I shared that we hired our marketing operations manager. We call her the Fairy Squad Mother because that's her nickname. Awesome. She actually told us that was her nickname, so don't call HR on me for that. For other things, sure, but not for that. And we've been spending a ton of time improving our project management, our tracking, our knowledge repositories, simplify things. Like we're going to have a media kit that's downloadable for people when you're like, where's the Radix logo? I never want to see a question, where's the Radix logo? I want you to go to the website, click download, right. Those kind of things that will hopefully make the working with Radix and within the RDX Works team just a lot less friction. Right. A little stress, fine, that's okay. But frustration, I want to minimize that, and that's really what we're trying to do. And there's room for improvement, obviously, but I'm thrilled with the direction that we're taking there, and teams responding, and that's great.
Awesome. Well, I think let's bring that to a close. As always, a pleasure talking with you, Jeremy.
Thanks, man.
Until next time.
Questions? This is where we drop the Easter egg, obviously. So if you still made it to this point, you get pretty much nothing. But at some point,
you get the Jeremy NFT of the Shard 2.
The Shard 2 NFT.
Whoever PMs Jeremy for the Shard 2.
Exactly.
He gets the NFT.
And if multiple people do it, we'll fractionalize it, so it'll be fine. But no, definitely, if you've made it to this point, suggestions about what we can do to make this more valuable or any part of the marketing valuable. Oh, and don't forget the regional Wen marketing calls, which we have each of the next 3 weeks for Asia region, for the Europe, Middle East, Africa region, and for North and South America regions. So pay attention, join those. We try to get the community chatting with each other, just a little more interactive. Hopefully don't do anything that gets lawyers involved at any point from my side, which is always a risk. But please, if you're interested, just hop on and share your feedback. I mean, I know we're not perfect. We're nowhere near perfect. And we need your insight because you're bringing that in. You're also seeing more of what's going on with the competitive landscape, the developer landscape, and good ideas. So please, hopefully you'll get involved.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Thanks, Chief. Peace.